What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hillside. And first and foremost, I'd like to just thank everybody out there who has supported me all along this journey so far, as I have reached a pretty significant milestone for myself. At least I'm 300 subscribers, 302 to be exact. Yeah, so I hit 200 subscribers on January 12th, and then on Cinco de Mayo, I hit 300. So I'm not exactly sure what day this can be put out. It'll be sometime after that. But again, thank you for all of that. Now, if you notice around me, at least my little friend here, along for the visit here, one of my pepper plants. If you can see it inside of my house, you pretty much would know how many plants. I've kind of got a little crazy this year with the plants, so just leave it at that. But why are they inside? That's a good question. Well, because believe it or not, we're supposed to get a frost, not tonight, but tomorrow night, and then possibly snow / sleet / rain the next 2 nights, then even a possible freeze / frost again on May the 11th or 12th. Yeah, in my memory, that is the latest frost I can remember. I don't remember a frost that late. The last 3 or 4 years I've been up here, Farmer's Almanac, all these guides say where I live now, April 20th should be the final frost, so it's the last frost, roughly April 20th. Depending on the year, it's been like April 18th through the 23rd, maybe a scare on like the 25th or 6th, but never into May. By May, it's usually warming up every day in the 70s, and it's just nice outside. But I mean, even with it being 60 degrees outside, it just feels cold. It's like a really cold 60 degrees with a really cold wind coming through, and it's just unseasonably cold. I mean, it's just nothing else to say. But yeah, so what I'd like to talk about, for the theme of this video here, would be conventional wisdom versus common sense / experience. We'll give it that, okay? So, my grandpa, he'd always tell me all the time, May 15th, May 15th, May 15th. Never put anything out before May 15th. As far as tomatoes, peppers, beans, anything like that. And he said, even if it doesn't get a late frost, it's just going to sit there in the cold ground anyways, and it's not going to make a bit of difference. And then the ones you plant on May 15th, they're going to catch up and surpass anything that you would have put in that won't be stunted by the cold, wet ground typically we'll have in late spring here. So did I listen? Nope. No, every year I've always been watching the phone, look at the weather. Hey, no frost, no frost, no frost. Taking a risk. April 19th, April 20th, put them out there. A couple nights had a couple scares, like 35s. You put some sheets on or something like that, and they all pulled through. Did it make any difference? I mean, I had the plants out early. Was it worth the risk? I don't know. I got away with it, so it seemed like it was a good idea. Something about this year, though, I kept just checking the weather. I was almost to the point that I was going to pull the trigger. A couple of guys like this pepper plant are actually in pots. So I was smart enough to just put the couple pepper plants that are in pots that'll stay on the porch outside, but nothing is really in ground yet, except for a couple lettuces and things like that, onions that are going to be able to tolerate cold anyways. But like I was saying though, I mean, these things are around for a reason. People don't just say these things for no reason. So always make sure you pay attention and listen to people. Whether it be something like you don't plant till the second full moon and during XYZ month or season or something like that. Some might think they're just old wives' tales, or it's just some old, traditional hillbilly, references or something like that that don't actually have any bearing on, what you're actually going to do. But kind of throw it back into this theme during this whole lockdown COVID-19 thing. A lot of people are getting back to growing their own vegetables and plants and stuff like that, and that's awesome, totally awesome. I'm glad that you are, and if I can help in any way, I'll be glad to put out a video, assist anything, answer any question you may or may not have down in the comments down below. But like I was saying, if you look back and you think on it a little bit, 100 years ago, people grew gardens and planted vegetables to preserve things, to provide for their family, because this might be this large substantial amount of what they're actually going to grow and eat during that winter or that season, that summer, whatever it is. So if you think about it, you can't take a risk. You're not going to put tomatoes out or plant a field of beans or something like that if this is legitimately your job, if you're a farmer back in the day, and or even today for that matter, quite honestly, but if you're, we'll go with the older reference. If you put out, a field of tomatoes and they all die, well, that's probably your entire savings you put into buying those plants or seeds or whatever. You've worked the fields by yourself, had plowing it up, maybe have some family members helping you out. You put a lot of work and time into this just to see it all killed by a late frost. You can't do that. You can't risk something like that. That would be bankruptcy. That might be starvation. That might mean you losing your farm, your house, whatever, and you got to go take another job somewhere else just to get by because you lost all that income and to make up for the food you lost on top of it. So yeah, April 20th, that's a good number for me. That's a good reference. That's a good general rule of thumb. But is it worth the risk? No. If I'd have done it this year, said April 20th, and just pay attention and threw them out there, we've already had 2 hard freezes after that date, and we're about to have 3 more, including up to 1 inch of snow. It's going to start raining and turn into snow. Wake up Saturday morning, whenever you're watching this, it makes no difference, but I think May 11th or May 10th, Saturday morning, it's going to be raining, turning into sleet, turning into possibly 1 inch of snow in the morning. I don't remember ever a time that it snowed in May. Granted, it has, I'm sure, in the past, but in my recent memory, this is unprecedented for me. So, make sure before you jump in and you want to start, planting gardens and all these things, listen to some of the old guys. They know what they're talking about. They've been through this many times. You get burned once or twice, you're going to say, you know what? I planted that one year on May 7th, and you know what? May 12th it snowed. Whatever. But maybe May 15th, for whatever reason, 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 out of 100, you should be safe. Does that mean it's always going to be good? No, it might have some crazy Memorial Day frost or super cold temperatures that ruin your tomato plants. What are you going to do? Do the best you can, but I'd also like to kind of go back and piggyback on that for one other thing, just my own personal gripe, if you will. Bear with me. But around here, or at least I've been told by other people, and I'm not sure if they've ever actually grown potatoes or not, or they're just making this kind of stuff up, but they're like, oh yeah. So March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, that's when you want to start getting your ground ready and start planting potatoes, because you need to start your potatoes early when it's cool, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, problems with that. Around here, the heavy wet clay soil, you're not going to work it in the middle of March because it's probably frozen. If it's not frozen, it's going to be sticky. It's going to stick to your tillers or your plows, whatever you're using, to your feet, to your boots. Trust me, it looks like you're walking on the moon. So much clay, gobbed up on your boots is, nothing's going to grow in that anyways. Maybe if you tilled it up in late in the fall, and then somehow miraculously we had a dry winter. But these are things you're not going to be able to control and or make rational sense of this. So I kind of have a disagreement with that. And then on top of that, if you do manage to plow your field up and plant your potatoes, you're going to plant them in the cold, sticky, wet mud or soil, or hopefully your native soil is better than mine is, I don't know, or your raised bed, or wherever it may or may not be. Just pretend you had a little warm spell in March or early April and you're like, all right, I'm going to go out and do this. Well, then it gets cold. And guess what happens? It's what happened to me because I listened to the wrong people, is you planted the potatoes and what happens? They start growing. You're doing a great job, especially a raised bed, a couple warm days. The soil's going to warm up a lot faster than it will be the actual soil, the deep soil you have in your farm or your field or wherever. So the potatoes are going to say, hey, it's warm. The soil's warming up. Let's go. Let's do this. And what happens? You get 4, 5, 6 inches worth of growth above the ground. Guess what happens? It's 19 degrees. Yeah, so it's 19 degrees. You know what happens to potatoes when it's 19 degrees? They turn black, they wither up, and they die. Will they come back? Maybe. I had, of my 6 plants I put out just as kind of an experiment, there's 2 that are alive. One looks like it's on death's doorstep. The other one's really kind of scraggly and probably not the best. Okay, so fast forward. I had some more seed potatoes. I planted those in middle of April, April 15th, roughly a month after everybody says you should plant them in middle of March for some reason. So I planted these about April 15th or 17th, 18th. It was it was in between 15 and 20. I don't remember the exact day. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so there I am. Plant them down there, in the garden. It's in the actual soil itself. Planted them a little deep, extra compost, extra everything. Set them up for off to a good start. And I went and checked today, and this is the 7th, 8th of May. So a good 2 weeks plus. they're just barely starting to poke out of the soil. Okay, not a big deal. Because they're just barely poking out of the soil, I have enough straw, leaves and stuff like that I can put on top of them for the next week, just to keep the tips from getting too frozen. Hopefully gives a little bit of insulation, but there's not giant plants that are 6 inches tall with leaves that are growing that are going to get hammered by this impending frost/freeze. So maybe waiting till later in April, it's going to actually give those potatoes a little better chance to survive any kind of late frost like that. Plus it gives the soil more time to warm up in the event that maybe you don't have a frost past April 19th like I had a couple years ago, and that's right on the average frost date, whatever. You got that. So in a small garden, or if you only have a couple beds that you can do that, I mean, is it obviously you can put some tarps over it or some plastic or something like that? Absolutely. It's always going to be possible to do something like that on a very small scale. But if you're putting out a huge garden, or you want to put like, an acre of potatoes like you're, selling to the farmer's market or something, you can't go around and just put covers on all this stuff and expect that it's very impractical. If you could do it, have the manpower and the resources, why not? I guess, it's your time. But anyways, thinking more practically, like I was kind of going back to the old time farmers, if you put out your potatoes at a certain month or a certain time, you're probably gonna have complete crop failure, complete loss of time, money, effort, and seed potatoes. And maybe if you stored those potatoes all winter long in a root cellar or something like that just to use them for your next year's seed crop, all that time was wasted because you just went and planted stuff too early and it got killed off. So waiting a little bit longer, does that help out your peppers and tomatoes, etc., etc.? Yeah, especially case in point this year. Even if I had not got a frost, let's just pretend like it's not going to freeze, but we had some 34, 35 degree nights. The plants, are they going to get frosted out? No. Are they going to die? Probably not. I've had a couple plants in the past, got down to 35, 36, and I was kind of panicking, but I kind of let it roll as an experiment to see what happened. And the plants look really sad. Yeah, they look really sad. They're like, hey, why'd you put me outside? It's 35 degrees. I'm a tropical plant. I'm a pepper, not a carrot or something else that likes cold weather. I don't know. But yeah, so thinking back to the old time wisdom, like I was telling you, wait a little bit longer, plant your plants into warmer soil. They're going to catch up, and you don't want to have a little sad cold pepper plant out there that may or may not recover. Keep it inside longer. If you're going to buy your own, if you're going to raise your own plants, start them a little bit later, because anticipate keeping them inside a little bit longer. Or if you go to the farmer's market or to somewhere else like that, go a week or two later. It's not going to make that big a difference. But yeah, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to keep an eye on the forecast. Maybe it's a really early spring, and just using my reference of April 20th as my last frost date. If it's April 15th and you're looking at the extended forecast and every day is 75, 75, 75, 75, 10 and 15 degrees above average, and it's like, okay, maybe you take a chance. Maybe you think that if you get the long-term forecast and you read the Farmer's Almanac or look into your crystal ball and you think that it's safe to go with it. But like I said, you never know. The season has been so weird, so cold. It's been unseasonably cold after a really warm late March, early April, which was helped those potatoes ultimately come to their doom because they grew way too early and then now are withered away. Anyhow, I'll go ahead and stop rambling. I just want to kind of get that off my chest and kind of, little point of reference because what's kind of going on here at the Hillside Garden. So once again, thanks everybody for 300 subscribers. It's been awesome. I'm not sure if I'll make a 400 subscriber special or a 500. Keep the theme of every 100. That might get tiring after a while. Maybe we'll go 500. We'll do something big. So thanks for following along. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, it'd be a great time to go ahead and do that right now. Any questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer them if you leave them down there in the comments section. And I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, by the way, if you have any idea what you'd like to see for a 500 subscriber special, it might be a month, might be a year, might be 5 years from now, but someday, I'm thinking someday, 500, that's a reasonable number. Give me some ideas what you might want to see. What kind of special would you like to, what would interest you? How about that? I don't know. I'll leave you with that here at the Hillside. Thanks again, and I'm signing out for right now. Bye-bye.